start this one.
Okay. Let me open the... Hey! We're recording!
Not yet.
Well, on there.
Almost, yeah.
On there we are. Okay. Schedule. Fuck it.
Schedule. Schedule.
Okay. Now we'll go to new episode.
So we're on 32.
We'll do... Okay, so all you gotta do is press
Lord
record.
Jesus.
Here, hold that. Oh, let me get this.
Warm up your vocals.
Oh, yeah.
Me, 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 Oh my god.
Okay, are we ready?
Is your cat scared?
That's
all I know.
Is your cat? Is she still in the bathroom?
Yes, she is.
Oh, poor thing. She's probably
She's in there?
terrified.
Aw, poor
She's
baby.
like
In the
listening
dark,
to like
too.
yeah, exactly.
Aw.
She's like, there's some witches doing witchery outside.
Witchery. There's some witches doing witchery.
That's what it's called, right?
Witchery.
Yeah, it's witchery. Witchery.
Wait, we're starting?
Yes.
Anyway, so welcome back to
Anyways.
another episode of Dick Talk and Mimosas. So, I love that as I said that, both of you just like drink your glass at the same time. Oh, she's trying to come out.
She's trying
That's okay,
to
just
escape.
let her. Yeah, let her.
Her pussycat.
Her little eyeball in the crack of the door.
Oh, let her look her. Oh my god, her paw. She's like.
Trying to open the door.
She's
Sorry.
adorable.
Sidetrack.
So, this episode is about the best and worst places that we have ever picked up people. And I have stories. But before we start, do you have stories, either one of you?
Well, this is
Like
also,
really random ass places?
also about the best and worst places you can pick up someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're looking for a partner.
I was not thinking about that. I was thinking about like the places that I have.
Oh, well,
that
let's
are,
start
like,
with your
so bad.
stories. Let's start with your stories.
I
There's a
mean,
little escape convict running around. Sorry.
No, I'm talking about fucking like Yelp. I have.
Yes.
Okay, so I
Tell
have.
us your Yelp review dating story.
I have slept with
Two
people.
people.
Hi, like Miss Little Celine. Hi, baby.
You have to stay.
There is a
here.
cat in our midst.
Yeah.
There's lots of pussy right here.
Yeah, lots.
So Yelp.
So I remember. So on Yelp, someone can like send you a DM, right? So
I've
met
never
this
even written
guy.
a Yelp review. I don't even know how the hell someone sends you a DM on Yelp.
Which you're supposed to for the fucking moving company. We discussed that.
Right,
Because
yes.
it sucked.
Yes.
And anyways,
Yeah.
so no, so this guy slid into my Yelp reviews.
Yes.
Or my, like, I'm sorry, my
Yelp
like
reviews.
my Yelp
Reviewing your pussy.
No,
on
hey,
Yelp?
oh my god, she was
She got
like,
one?
no,
Oh, okay.
hell no, girl, you can't do that. She was licking the salmon.
This episode is going very well so far. Thank you for staying tuned. Staying tuned? This is terrible. Should we start
Perfect.
over?
No.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
No. So this guy, he slipped into my Yelp DMs, not my reviews, because well, no, maybe my reviews. I think that if like my dating life was a Yelp page, I would get like 5 stars.
Oh,
I do
yeah.
think that, yeah, 100%. Anyways, he slipped into my Yelp DMs, and because he made a comment on a review that I made somewhere, like on somewhere in Orange County. And then we started talking. Then I'm like, hey, I'll drive to Santa Monica for you because he lived in Santa Monica. And we met up. We went on like an eating date, like
Eating date?
Yeah, like not that kind yet.
Eating.
So we went on like an eating date where like we met and we just like hit up like multiple stops to eat at, and then like finally like at the end of the night he's like, hey, like this is my place, and I'm like, okay.
I have one last thing for you to eat.
Oh!
That is exactly how it went. So
Wow.
I went back to his place. I ate his dick.
And
Oh
then
my God.
And then he gave you a Yelp review on that dick eating experience.
Was there a missing persons report issued for this missing dick?
No,
you
but I
ate?
will say, okay, so we stayed friends, but kind of like on the deal, and then like later on, he started going out with this girl on I don't know where they met, but anyways, we remained friends on Instagram, right? I made a comment on a picture that he posted with her, and it was something like completely innocent, like, oh, so happy for like both of you or whatever, and he erased the comment, and then he like sent me a DM. He's like, oh, I don't want my girlfriend to know who you are. So I read your comment. Anyway.
So he was a cad.
What is that?
A cad is an old school word that means someone who cheats. A cad.
No, he wasn't cheating.
Oh, he wasn't
But
cheating.
I think he just didn't want. I think he was trying to avoid.
But if it was behind his
Like
girlfriend's
a Jody.
back, isn't that cheating? A Jody.
No, I think he was trying to avoid the conversation of like, who is this girl answering, like, or like posting a comment on a picture of us, and him being like, oh yeah, it's this girl that I met on Yelp, and we hooked up and like we ate and fucked.
I can't believe you met on Yelp, by
Yeah,
the way.
so
Like, who the fuck meets on Yelp?
Would you ever meet anyone on Yelp again?
He was not the first.
You Yelp hoe.
Yelp is all about food, and I love food.
I love
you
food
may
too.
know.
Food dates are the
And
best.
I've slept with 3 people off Yelp.
I'm speechless. You put the microphone in my face. I'm like, I don't know what to say to that.
Now, didn't you also say that you met someone on LinkedIn?
No, that's my goal.
That's your goal.
That's my goal. Yeah.
I got hit up by someone on LinkedIn years ago, and I never went on a date with them, but I was like, that's really ballsy to reach out on a professional networking site.
That's the whole thing.
To ask me out.
I had an ex-boyfriend reach back out to me on LinkedIn.
Really?
And I was like, nope.
You're like, oh shit, this
Oh
is
my
where
God.
I didn't block you.
Yeah.
You're like,
I know, it was the one source that he could get through. And it was like,
did they
couple
like
years
ask
later.
you out again?
No, it was like one of those like generic ass bullshit, like, hey, how's it going? Been thinking about you, or some bullshit, you know, and it's like, ignore.
Ooh.
That's my goal, because there's like several like webs. Like I've slept with people on Instagram, Facebook, Yelp. LinkedIn is the next one. I think that's the one that's like left over.
MySpace.
MySpace, I've done MySpace. Yeah.
I'm sure there are people who
Twitter.
are like wondering, okay, what if I
I
don't
don't
want to
have
meet
Twitter.
anyone
I don't either.
online? What if I want to meet someone in person? Like, what are some good places to meet people? And I will harken back to when we did the Dream Man episode, and I mentioned, the top 5 places to meet this person. And I think what I wrote was something along the lines of, entertainment, event, or an outdoor activity, or volunteering, because those are the kinds of things I like to do. And
Yes.
so I would recommend meeting someone, at those kinds of locations.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like, what are you interested in? What are the kind of people you want to be around in? Like, don't even like think about like, where am I gonna meet someone I can fuck? Like, where is someone that you would meet, or where is somewhere that you would meet someone that you want to be friends with, or like hang out with? Like, you have common interests. Start there.
Yeah.
Exactly. I will say, like, I awkwardly got hit on once at a grocery store, and I didn't know it at first because they were he stopped me and he asked me a question like, oh, hey, do you live in the area? Or I can't remember what he asked, but he kept just asking me questions. And I'm like, yeah, I live in the area. This is my grocery store. I live pretty close to my grocery store. And then he finally got around to it, like, hey, can I take you out sometime? And I was like, no, I'm not interested. And I was in the literal, like, frozen food aisle. Like, I'm not looking to pick up anyone when I'm buying, like, TV dinners.
Right.
I don't eat
For
TV
one.
dinners anymore, by the way. But, like, I used to eat them all the time. Anyway, beside the point.
So your boyfriends cook for you.
Yeah, and, well, my boyfriend cooks for me a lot. He's amazing. But I will say, I also got hit on at a Carl's Jr. When I went through the drive-thru.
The drive.
I get hit on an Arby's drive-thru. Oh my
An
god.
Arby's,
Okay.
I would say a Carl's Jr. is probably a little bit one up on an Arby's, but
I-
not that it matters.
Okay. I have things to say
It was
about that.
so
but
weird.
Okay.
It's like I kept going there. I went there. This is the same Carl's. I mean, it's my Carl's Jr. I always go to, but
Not
I
a
went
Carl's
there.
Jr.
I went there for like a solid, year, and I kept seeing the same person at the drive-thru. And about 3 months after I started going there, the same guy who would always give me, like a free cookie, was like, "Hey, can I like take you out sometime?" I was like,
I want to eat your cookie.
I want to eat your cookie. He asked me out.
He went there.
And I think I awkwardly said something like, "Oh, now's not the right time for me," or something. I don't know what I said. It was so awkward. Like, a Carl's Jr.? Like, you're the guy giving me my fries. I mean...
That's your pretty.
That's not a really good place to pick up women in a drive-through. So I would say don't do that.
I don't know about that because I remember one time. This was like I don't know, over 10 years ago, many moons ago. I went through an Arby's and the guy talking through the intercom, his voice was just so sexy, and I was like, ooh, I was like melting. And I remember like I went up to the drive-thru and it was like this like younger like black guy, like his voice was like butter. I was just like melting, and he was like da da da. He's like, oh yeah, do you have a boyfriend? I'm like, fuck, I actually do. This was many years ago.
You loyal bitch.
Oh, I know, but I mean, at that time, had I not known what non-monogamy was, or had I not had I been not a loyal as girlfriend at the time, I would have. He looked delicious, and his voice. Delicious. Oh my god, and his voice, like
you deserved it.
You deserve a delicious man.
No, he looked gorgeous. Like, I mean, he looked like, I'm like, what are you doing at an Arby's? Like, I looked at him and I'm like
aim higher. Aim higher. I mean, unless that's your job, then that's cool.
No, but like, cool. You know how sometimes like, you look at people, I'm like, no, you should be like on like a Gap ad. Mm-hmm. That was him.
He could have been a model.
Yeah, 100%. And his voice, like, it just, But, anyways, so the drive-thru, I don't know. I feel like I've had a few misconnections on a drive-thru.
I was talking to Nick earlier, my boyfriend Nick. I was talking to Nick earlier. I was like, hey, we're gonna do an episode about like the best places to pick up someone, and I told him that I had seen a video about how, you know, if you're a woman and you're looking for, you know, a man, you should go to Home Depot at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. And you just look, you just ask them, hey, like, I'm looking for something here. Can you help me find it? Or, hey, do you know how to install this thing? And I'm like, hey, that's actually not a bad idea. But then he brought up the idea or the point that most of them are probably married. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's probably.
Or as a woman, you know more than this jackass in this Home Depot store. So when you listen to them say, yeah, I know how to do it, you just do it like this. You're like, no, you're fucking wrong.
I'm looking for an 8-inch something. And then you wink, and they're like, I don't know. Like, go to this aisle.
Yeah. Go to the wood aisle and be like, I'm looking for some wood.
They're like,
can you help me find
They're
some
like, get in that line of all those other women looking for wood here.
But like, where else could we, before?
Okay, so I have a fun story.
Oh, tell me.
It's...
Do tell.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's one of those...
We need like a little bell for our bartender. AKA Amanda's anonymous audio engineer who's visiting for the weekend.
Anonymous bartender.
Anonymous bartender. Is your coochie like super sore from like all the sex that you're like catching up on?
It's why I went to brunch with wet hair and
like I didn't have time to blow dry because I was getting my
blower.
Yeah, basically.
What was your story?
So after my ex, right? It was like a whole huge situation. We lived together, blah blah blah, right? So I had packed all my stuff up. It was all in storage. I was literally sleeping on my boss's couch for 2 weeks until I could find a new apartment because I literally like up and left that day.
I can remember this. Yes,
I'm living on my boss's couch, but I also work for my boss and I work at their house. So I felt like really weird, like in the morning, you know, like am I on like working now? I mean, I shouldn't be working, but I'm here. And it's like weird. Like, do I just participate and help with shit? So I decided that I'd go on morning walks to like get out of the house, right? Yeah. So I'd go on like long ass walks. So I'm literally like I have headphones in and I'm either like on the phone with my aunt like crying about shit, or I'm listening to music and crying about shit or whatever. But it's like, you know, this very traumatic, devastating situation. And so I'm on this walk and I'm on Wilshire Boulevard walking like down like Wilshire, like in Westwood. And
Wilshire in what? I'm like, I'm trying to imagine.
Over by like UCLA.
Okay.
So I'm on a walk. I'm walking down Wilshire, and you know, like I don't know how to describe like what happens. Like there's a stoplight at every fucking block, and there's traffic. So every time, like when you're walking, like the traffic keeps like staying with you, right? And so there's this like car that's always by me, but whatever, it was like the whole line of traffic is by me. It's like they get stopped at a red light and I walk and then I cross the intersection and I keep walking and then their light changes to green and then they catch up to me and then they get stopped at the next light and then I catch up again, whatever. So I turn down a side street and this Jeep turns down the side street and literally like drives to the end of the block, pulls into a spot, parks. This guy gets out of his car like in a full business suit and everything. And he's like a hot dude, right? Gets out, walks over and he's like, "You're mesmerizing and I would really like to take you on a date." He's like got a brand new like
Lord
souped up
Jesus.
Jeep. He's in a business suit. He's driving in Wilshire. Like,
Wait, a Jeep?
mm-hmm.
I don't know about a Jeep.
Jeeps are expensive. Jeeps are nice.
I know. I wouldn't.
That means
be
he's an
impressed.
adventurous type.
I wouldn't be impressed, but continue.
Ew.
Well, some of those Jeeps cost more than BMWs. So.
That's true.
Do they really?
Mm-hmm.
Jeeps are expensive.
Go Google some.
Mm-hmm.
Go Google some like custom Jeeps. Nonetheless, anyway,
Up with Will.
he like pulls over, asks me this, right? And I'm like in my head about this whole situation, right? Like that I'm just getting out of. And I was like, part of me is like, wow, you are a gorgeous human being and you look like you are really well off and you look really nice. And he was being like very polite and everything. And I was also like, I am not in the space to like go on dates right now. I just got out of a like really messy relationship. And he's like, okay, I understand. He's like, how about just take my number and if you decide like you want to change your mind, we can just go get coffee or something. And I took his number, but then spent like about 2 weeks like going back and forth like, it would be really nice to go on a date, and also like I'm a fucking train wreck right now, and I never called him. But what he did was really sweet and cute, and like totally caught me off guard. I was just walking down the street listening to headphones.
I just thought of like a really random ass time where I met someone that I went on a date with that didn't work out. When I turned 19. And I lived in Orange County. My friends and I went to this place. I think it was like in Long Beach. We went to a restaurant and our server was 19 at the time. Because I remember he was like 1 year older. He asked me on a date. And then on our date, I remember he had a fake ID. And he's like, you can ask for anything you want, baby. Like on like the 21 plus menu. So I
the
like,
21 plus.
Yeah, so I got like a beer and like I don't know, a steak. But yeah, I met someone on like my 19th birthday.
Wow.
That was like back in the day, so I don't know about like now. Yeah, but
No, Amanda's story kind of.
I can't.
No,
wait, I mean, it's cute.
I love you all.
You can have anything in the 21 plus.
You talked about how a man in a nice Jeep pulled over and asked you out. There is a gray area here. There's, if someone is jogging and minding their own business,
Yes.
don't ask them out. If they're at the gym and they're lifting weights, don't bother them. There's kind of a gray area there. So, like, how do we distinguish when it's okay to organically meet someone on the street versus, like, being disrespectful?
I think it all comes down to just, like, how you present yourself, because I've definitely also been walking down the street and had some car pull over that's like, hey, it's really early. You want to ride home? And I was like, no, thanks. I'm trying to go for a walk to exercise. Like, I don't need a ride home. And they're like, no, you should get in the car. And I was like, no, I'm like speed walking away at this point, because that was like a, demanding situation. It wasn't like a, you like are attractive and it's, whatever, like the first person did that seemed like it was respectful and polite, and it to say no was okay and acceptable. Versus like, no, that's okay, thanks. And then it's like, no, you should get in. Like, no, thanks. I already said no. Like,
yeah.
So I think it's just all how you present yourself and what your intentions are, because as much as you may not think it, I think that people can read what your intention is real quick, real clearly. So I could tell like the intention of the first person was like, oh, like, let's go on a date or something. And the intention of the second person seemed like I was going to get kidnapped or something.
Or worse.
Yeah. So that, I think that's one. It's just like demeanor and your intentions and how you present yourself, because you present yourself like the type of person you are. Like whether you think you are or not, like whatever person you are, that's how much you, no matter how much you try to like cover that up, you're going to present yourself as the type of person you really are.
And if you're in a public setting, doesn't matter if you're on like a street or at a public event or whatever, if you organically strike up a conversation with someone and you are feeling like the conversation is being reciprocated and you're vibing and they ask you out respectfully, then cool. But if you are in a public setting and you are trying to strike up a conversation with someone and their body language is telling you that they're not interested,
Read the room.
Read the room, right?
Not just body language, but if someone's like, no thanks, that means no fucking thanks.
Right.
Yes means yes, and everything else means no.
Right. So if let's talk about body language a little bit. You know, if someone is facing toward you and they're smiling and they're engaging with you, that is good. If they're looking away from if they're looking away from you, if their shoulders are faced away, if they're
Close
just
body language,
if they're crossing their arms, or if they're just giving you very short like yes or no answers, they're not interested. Just walk away. Just do not engage further.
Anything that's crossing, like even like just like your legs, your everything, like if anyone's like this
closing their body.
Body language is huge. If someone is in like an open body position, you know, meaning like they don't have their arms crossed and their body is like open. I don't know how to really describe that, Amanda, but
I mean, honestly, like if you're thinking of standing straight up with your hands at your side, that's pretty much like open body language, right? It's not, you know, turning away. It doesn't look uncomfortable. It doesn't look like they're trying to hide anything.
So
this is
like,
open body language.
So someone's like,
Anna is spread eagle right now. That is open body.
Hey, what's up?
So someone's like, hey.
But another thing is like if they're making eye contact with you, if they're engaging you,
everything,
if they're giving you, you know, if they're actually engaging you in conversation, that's really good. But you just gotta read the room.
One thing that I noticed too is like even like you don't it's almost like not obvious, but like let's say, I think I mentioned this on an episode, if someone is like, let's say you don't have to be doing any of that, like the cross like the crossing arms, the crossing legs. If someone is literally like just their entire body is away from you, because you could be like doing this, what you're doing, and if I'm doing this, like oh yeah, like
I don't want to be engaged in this.
Exactly. If I'm doing this, that means I'm not fucking into you. So.
And I would also recommend, if you want to compliment something, I would say compliment like something that maybe like if they have a cool hat or a cool pin, or I don't know, but
something non-sexual.
Something non-sexual. Like don't comment on a person's body.
Nice titties, bros.
Because that can come off the wrong way.
Right.
And so if you want to compliment someone, you know, make a genuine compliment. And if they seem like they're really open to receiving that and they are begin a conversation with you, then cool. Maybe they're open to a date or something, or getting to know you more. But if you compliment someone and they're like, oh cool, thanks, and then they just kind of like look away from you and they move on with their life, then it's time to disengage.
Quick other fun story. I used to work at a bank. I was a bank teller.
Ooh.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Can I be the robber?
Yeah, right.
Ooh.
So
can I get in your
Can I make a deposit?
I know. I'm like, can I get in your? How do I make this like really sexual?
So the bank I worked at was in this like tall tower full of other businesses, right?
Well, it was
back in Illinois.
Fuck Bank of America.
No, it was,
but okay.
Chase, LaSalle Bank, which was bought out by AB and AMRO, so now it's Bank of America. Anyways, which is why I quit, right? Yeah,
whatever.
It was LaSalle Bank at the time. Anyway, it was back when I lived in Illinois. And in this building, which the bank was in, there was also
trying to monkey my way to like get the salmon rolls.
There was a bunch of like really like multi-million-dollar businesses in there, but there was also a telemarketing company in this building. And they would come deposit their checks every Friday. And like 25% of the men that came to deposit their checks would ask me out on dates.
Wow.
And the best part was them trying to act like they're fucking ballers.
What?
Cashing their $300 checks and being like, you want to go out to dinner? You can have anything on the menu. And I was like, bro, I can see everything in your account. I know how much money you have and what you spend it on.
I can take you to Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah.
I actually really love Outback.
You can
Steakhouse,
get any one entree you want.
What?
Get the blooming onion.
Get a wallaby darned.
No appetizers though. Just one
You can
entree.
order a really cool salad.
I was like, bro, I make more money than you. Shut the fuck up. Like, so I actually started wearing a fake, like a promise ring type ring. So I'd be like, no, sorry, and I'd just like show him my little stupid ring because I was like, yo, please stop asking because it was every fucking week, and it was like one after the other. I'm like, I'm just trying to work. Like, this is not the place to pick me up, and it's also not the place to pick me up if you're gonna try to pretend like you're someone you're not. So,
by the way, that's really uncomfortable. If someone is working and you're a client or a customer, don't put them in the awkward position to
like, I might
turn
get
you
fired
down because they could get fired or. They might be afraid that you're going to report them or something. I don't know. It's just not a good place.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
I've had that happen. I've been here on a Bank of America, depositing my check, and my boyfriend was next to me at the time. And the teller was like, so, anyways, that kind of situation.
Like, is there more to the story?
No, where I'm like depositing a check. No.
What kind of situation would that be?
Where I'm like depositing a check and I'm like going in there with like my boyfriend at the time.
How did they hit on you though?
No, they would say something like, "Oh, like how was work or whatever, or anything. What are you doing this weekend?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm hanging out with my boyfriend. This is
the person you're with."
Yeah, exactly. They're like, anyways, and like they just one of those.
I will say,
that's gross though. Like if you do that, it's
you mentioned bringing up like you wore a fake promise or a promise ring or whatever just to like ward off. I've done that before too, where I'll wear a ring on that finger just because if I'm going out and I don't want to get hit on, I'll wear it. I mean, I haven't done that in several years, but. It's a good tactic if you really just do not want to get hit on. Wear a fake wedding ring or a promise ring.
Right. Yeah. When I'm like,
I feel like they would attract more people though.
Well, not. I feel like it works.
Most
pretty well.
people, I think, repels them rather than attracts.
Yeah, I think. Well, at least not. I haven't done that out here, but at least when I lived in Chicago, it was like it worked, which is sad because like if you're at a bar or something, you can be like, fuck you, bro, or whatever. But also when you're at work, you're like, hi, I have to like live by this code of the customer's also like always right. And we want your business, but also like you're crossing the line. And now I'm trapped in this, like, where is the line between what is okay with me and what I have to do to be working.
What did you say?
Where in the world is Carmen San Diego?
Oh my God.
How many drinks have you had?
How drunk are you, Anna?
This is like a listener game. Like,
how
drunk is Anna?
Bartender got her very drunk, and I've had the same number of drinks, I think, but
I think it's your boyfriend to blame, but it's okay. Continue.
Anonymous audio engineer is to give credit to
who is not audio engineering today.
Who's
That's
not?
what I'm saying.
No, he's not.
Yeah, no, he's
He'll always be the anonymous audio engineer, but just he's only ever done it once. But we appreciate him anyway. We love him anyway.
It's okay. He's bonding. Yeah. It's okay.
But also, I would highly recommend not maybe asking out someone at work because you probably shouldn't shit where you eat. That's so
risky.
I love that saying so much.
Don't shit where you eat.
Yeah. So where would you want to get?
Don't dip your pen in the company's ink.
Oh, that's a good one. Pleasantly surprised.
That's very.
I'm shocked.
I know. That's how drunk you are.
No, I've heard that one so many times. That's like very American.
I will. You said where should we pick
where
up
would you
people?
Want to? Yeah.
So I've given.
If it's not dating apps.
If it's not a dating app, which we did this episode before about dating apps, we want to pick up people organically, right? So I've given this advice before, but I've never followed it. I would say go to meetup.com and join a club. Join a club of people who are like-minded. If you like doing board games, join a board game club. If you like doing Dungeons and Dragons, join a D&D club. join a club of like-minded people, and you will eventually meet someone who you vibe with, and you can take on a date and potentially be the love of your life.
Have you been matched by a friend?
I've not really been matched by a friend, no. I mean, I did go on a blind date once years and years and years ago, and it did not go well because he only ever talked about himself, and at the very end of the day he said, "Oh, I had a great time and I'd love to see you again." I'm like, no, you didn't even ask me a single question about myself, so that didn't go well. But yeah, I would highly recommend joining some kind of group or club of people who like to do the activities that you like to do, and you will eventually meet someone who you vibe with, and on a romantic level.
And I think, like, even, okay, so if you join a meetup group for whatever you like, for me, rock climbing, right? If you don't find someone in that group, like, there are more facets to yourself. Like, you don't have to be like, that didn't work. Okay, go join your bondage rope tying class.
Yeah.
Go join your fucking cat, rescue group. Go, like, there's a million things that you probably like and maybe even only partially like, but go try it.
By the way, if you don't meet someone that you vibe with in this group, you what's the worst that can happen? You meet new friends, and those friends they get to know you, and they're like, hey, I know someone who'd be great for you. They might keep you in mind for a blind date or something. But, the worst comes to worst is you meet new friends.
Which is also what happened. I have a friend that, like, I knew for several years, someone that we know from MITT.
Oh.
And, like, reached out to me like, hey, I know that you're traveling in this country right now, and I have a friend that lives in that country, and you're both single, and I think that you have common interests, and you guys should meet up, which it didn't work out because of the timing, but yeah, it was like someone just, like, randomly reached out to me to be like, you guys would be perfect together. You should, like... So, yeah, even if you're just friends with someone from some random thing, like, you never know where that'll show up years later.
That's true, and I would say your friends know you better than anyone, right?
Yeah.
So they know,
my gosh,
they know, like, you on your good days, on your bad days, and what you like, what you don't like. So I would say, hey, reach out to friends too, and be like, hey, if you have a friend who I haven't met, who you think I'd be good for, like, let me know. I'm open to it. Like, just, just try it. But yeah,
I do 100% think that being open to the possibility of, like, being hooked up with someone by someone, because I remember, like, many years ago, this is when I was, like, still, like, a teen, maybe like 18, 19. I tried to play Cupid with one of my best friends with my ex's best friend. They hit it off over the phone. This, like, way back in the day when people used to talk on the phone. They had an amazing connection, and they met in person, and she was like a total fucking cunt, and she's like,
oh no,
she's like, you're too short.
Because,
yeah, she wanted someone like 6 foot and taller, and he was like, I don't know, like 5'9".
That's the most important thing, not
exactly.
their personality.
Exactly, yeah. But back then, that's what happened. But, like, point is, just, like, be open to, like, the possibility, because, again, like what you guys said, like, your friends know you the best. Like, if you were to tell me, like, Anna, like, this guy, I don't know, like, you guys might hit it off. It's like, you know me the best. Like, I think I'm gonna, like, give it a try.
And I've kind of done that sort of with you in a way. I kind of did that with you. I did set you up with a friend. I mean, it wasn't like a love connection, but hey.
Yeah, well, Point is, yeah. But it's like, it's again being open to the possibility, and again, like, it doesn't always have to be like a freaking like app. Like, it's, I don't know, just like, oh my god, I went out with someone, and this again was like many years ago. I went to a bar and I saw a guy, and I went up to him and I'm like, hey, were you here last weekend to see this band? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, I thought I recognized you from that. And he's like, no, but that doesn't mean we can't talk. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So, like, we exchanged phone numbers. We did it for like months, but it's like something along those lines, like where you don't have to like be super like shut off and just be like, no, I don't know you, I don't want to talk to you, and just like shut off. Yeah, exactly. So, it's just, everything is like, be open to the possibility, because you never know.
You never
fucking
know.
know.
And with everyone, well, a lot of people getting vaccinated and things starting to open up soonish in the next few months, you know, bars are going to open again. And I'm not saying that's the best place to meet someone. But if you do find yourself at a bar, I have a little tip for if you find someone attractive. If you are at a bar and you ask them, hey, can you help me with something? Like, hey, can you please hand me that napkin? Or, hey, just to help you with something. How they respond to that will tell you if they're interested.
Yeah.
If you ask them for a napkin and they hand you it and then they start making conversation with you, they're interested. Just ask them to help you with something. But yeah, bars are going to open soon, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of looking forward to going to some bars with Nick. We kind of want to do some role playing. I want to like pretend that I don't know him, and I want to have him like show up in like a turtleneck and like a gold chain and pick me up. Like, I don't know who he
Greek
is.
as fuck.
He's gonna be so Greek. Oh, by the way, he recommended meeting people at an art show. Like, he's an artist, and so
He's gonna
art
show up
shows,
with like a wall of cheese, or like a wheel.
a wheel of cheese.
A wall of cheese.
Oh, I would love a wall of cheese, but no, the art show thing is good because you're literally staring at pieces of art and you're making conversation without having to like make any eye contact with anyone. So you'd be like, yes, I love the lines and the symmetry in this piece here, and it's like, are they looking at me? Like, do they like me? Anyway, so that's
That was
advice.
my first date with
Hot ass.
anonymous audio engineer.
At an art show?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my god!
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
So
technically, our first date was like at a restaurant for brunch because he asked me to go on a date with him and to go to an art gallery, and it was kind
Yeah, I
of like
remember the brunch was like the preliminary.
yeah. I was like, do I want to go on this date with this person? I don't know him, and I was like kind of like in that mindset of like, I'm fine being single. Like, I don't know if I want to go on dates. Everyone's an asshole, you know, and. So, yeah, when he asked me on a date, I'm like, yes. And then, like, the next day, I was like, no. I started getting cold feet. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to ask him to. And it was, like, crazy because I literally was like, I don't know, it was like maybe 9 a.m. or something. I'm like, are you available to go to brunch with me at 10 a.m.? Like, or something, like, immediately later? And he's like,
so cute.
Sure. So we went to brunch. I was like, okay, now I'll go on this date with you.
I love brunch, by the way.
Yeah. I needed daylight and lots of people around before I went like, on some, like, evening, you know, kind of date.
Do we have any saved rounds or final thoughts for this episode?
I think Celine has a lot to say.
Celine,
I've been listening to her.
You might have been hearing Celine, Amanda's cat, you know, meowing the entire episode. But, you know, we promised to talk about everything from fetishes to felines, and she is a feline.
What about feline fetishes?
Oh, that's a whole other episode.
Foot guy.
Oh, we have a whole foot fetish episode coming up. But until then, we definitely want to thank a couple of people. Several people.
We want to thank us.
We want to thank us, first of all.
We are thankful for us making this show and having brunches together. We are thankful for our liquor daddy creating beautiful, endless opportunities for us to drink ourselves silly.
Our liquor daddy over at the liquor fountain.
I will say today we have to give thanks to our liquor bartender because I'm pretty drunk next to him.
Our anonymous bartender, which is the same person as the anonymous audio engineer.
Yeah.
But thank you, Liquor Daddy, at the Liquor Fountain, 5203 Fountain Avenue. We couldn't get boozed up without you, literally, and we appreciate you. And
she's like
we
down.
appreciate all of our patrons on Patreon.
Yes,
we couldn't do what we do without you.
Yeah, and thank you for participating in likes and comments and messages and polls and everything that helps us create what we do. We literally couldn't do what we do without you. And if you want to become a patron so that we can continue to bring you these awesome episodes, please go to the link in our Instagram bio. It's called Patreon. We can bring you exclusive content, early access to episodes, and we also have merch coming out soon. I already ordered some samples.
And sometimes there's titties.
There's some titties.
Titties.
There was a nip slip in the last episode.
Yeah, it's okay.
We have some merch coming out very soon. I ordered samples. We're going to be taking some photos and bringing it to our patrons first.
Yeah.
First, they get early access. If you'd like to become a patron, go to the link in our Instagram bio.
And a lip slip.
And
nip slip.
Lots of nipple slips
Nipples,
by Anna.
Nipple slips.
And if you
nipple slips.
until our next episode,
Bye-bye.
Suck some pussy.
Oh,
That's a new
it's
one.
supposed to- yeah.
That's a new one.
Anyways, meow. Motherfucking meow.
Oh my god, Selena's going crazy.
Oh my god, she is. That's so funny.
What we should do,
That was funny.
anyone watching this YouTube video right now, is go on our Patreon, see how much money we have, and go to Honey Burdette and buy ourselves lingerie
Oh, I want to see how much we have. Yeah, so how much? Let's open the door so we can let the guy.
Yeah.
The
Oh
guy
shit.
know.
I
We're
think
like
my hair went on
almost
the
done.
oil.
I gotta pee.